I'm Carol Angela Davis coming to you via Skype on Wednesday, June 15th, 2011. We're going to begin with some news for you on weapons. Apparently more than 70% of 30,000 firearms that were submitted to the U.S. Department of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives for tracing by the Mexican government. This happened during 2009 and 2010. Well, apparently more than 70% of those 30,000 weapons originated right here in the good old United States. That's right, folks. That is the word from a new report, and it is getting some action. Now, 3 Democratic senators are calling for tougher firearms laws and regulations. We should tell you that Mexican drug cartels are reportedly responsible for more than 34,000 deaths since 2006. So the 3 senators, we're talking Senator Dianne Feinstein, a Democrat, of course, as you know, from California. Also, Senator Chuck Schumer, he is a Democrat from New York, and Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, a Democrat from Rhode Island. They now want action. They say it is simply too easy for Mexican drug lords to get their hands on military grade weapons within our borders. So here's what they want to do. They want to reinstate an assault weapons ban that expired in 2004. They also want better enforcement of a ban on the import of military-style weapons, and they also want to close a provision. That provision allows private sellers at gun shows to sell weapons without a background check. Yikes, yippee. I mean, who in the world thinks... Honest to goodness, it's a wonder where this country is even standing with this kind of conversation going on. Even Mexico wants the U.S. to get tougher. In fact, in a 2010 speech to the U.S. Congress, Mexican President Felipe Calderon, here's what he did. He called for action similar to what the U.S. senators are now proposing. And according to Calderon, guess what? The problem is far worse than it's being quoted currently. He says 80% of all assault weapons seized in Mexico come from right here within the good old United States. That's not good. We have to fix that. All right, speaking of weapons, the bipartisan leadership of the Senate Armed Services Committee is very worried about counterfeit electronic parts that it says are infiltrating the U.S. military. That's scary. All right, and not only the U.S. military, but the U.S. military weapons systems. That's very, very serious. The committee is now calling for an investigation. We're talking about Senator John McCain, a Republican from Arizona, as well as Carl Levin, a Democrat from Michigan. They say it is vitally important to U.S. interests that we must rid American systems of these parts. Levin says many at the Pentagon and also within its contractors believe that the threat is coming from China. Now, they add China will not issue visas to the committee staff so that they can enter the country and do an investigation. That in itself is a problem. McCain adds that these false parts are first and foremost a problem for the U.S. military. I'll tell you what, if you want to stop that problem, you got to make stuff in this country. You got to manufacture it right here in the good old United States of America, and then we can keep our eyes on it and watch it. As long as you're manufacturing things in different countries around the world, particularly items that are so important to our national security, you're going to have a problem. It's a no-brainer. Bring that technology, bring that manufacturing right here to the United States where it belongs, and we'll be fine. Hello? We don't need to ask China for a visa to go and investigate whether or not they're screwing up our weapons systems. We can just walk into a plant in Ohio and check it out ourselves. How about that? All right, in-state and local news. From Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Supreme Court has ruled that the state's new union rights law can go into effect. You'll remember that Republican Governor Scott Walker, he pushed that law through. It eliminates most of public employees' collective bargaining rights and forces them to pay more for their health insurance and their pension benefits. But the law, of course, was tied up in the courts since a Democrat filed a lawsuit accusing Republicans of violating the state open meetings law during the run-up to passage. Well, now the Wisconsin Supreme Court has said the judge had no authority to interfere with the legislative process, and the law can go into effect. Turning now to health news, TV personality Montel Williams says he's now in the weed business. That's right, Montel has taken a job as a consultant with an upscale marijuana dispensary that is in Sacramento, California. Williams says he wants to create a store that runs more like a pharmacy and less like a back alley dispensary. Montel, as you know, was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. That happened in the late 90s, and he credits marijuana with alleviating his near constant neurological pain. Those are your stories. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Thank you for joining me. Today is Wednesday, June 15th, 2011. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, new stories. Have yourself a great day. I'm coming to you via Skype, and I hope you'll follow me on Twitter, Carol Angela D. See you soon.